For over 2.5 million years, humanity fed itself by hunting animals and gathering plants. These plants and animals thrived without human intervention. Homo ergaster, Homo erectus, and Neanderthals hunted wild sheep and plucked wild berries and figs without caring which meadow the sheep, deer, or buffalo grazed or mated in, or how the succulent berries and figs they ate grew. Despite migrating from East Africa to other parts of the world, Homo sapiens too continued to practice hunting and gathering for millennia. According to the historian Dr. Yuval Harari Noah, these were the original affluent societies. Prehistoric people lived in a world that supported their lifestyles adequately. It also supported their political dynamics, social structures, and religious beliefs amply. Why toil from sunrise to sunset to feed yourself when the land you live in is capable of providing you with adequate food and shelter? Join us in this Liber-Tea episode as we go back in time to investigate the roots of agriculture. The affluent lifestyle early Homo sapiens lived changed about 10,000 years ago when they started dedicating a tremendous amount of time trying to manipulate the lives of plants and animals. From dawn to dusk, our ancestors sowed seeds, plucked weeds, and watered plants. They also dedicated a considerable amount of time to finding prime pasture for their livestock. They believed that this drastic change of lifestyle would provide them with more meat, grain, fruit, and comfort. Thus, the agricultural revolution was kick-started. Humans began to transition to agriculture in circa 9500 to 8500 BCE in Mesopotamia, the Levant, and southern eastern Turkey. The agricultural revolution unfolded slowly and within a small geographical area. In circa 9000 BCE, people began domesticating goats and wheat. In circa 8000 BCE, we began domesticating lentils and peas, and by circa 3500 BCE, we had already domesticated grapevines and horses. 10,000 years ago, wheat was a wild grass that was only found in the Middle East. However, due to the agricultural revolution, within a few millennia, this wild grass had spread across the world. Undoubtedly, it is one of the most successful plants in the history of our planet. At the time people started growing wheat, there was not a single stalk of wheat in North America's Great Plains. However, today, the Great Plains are covered with thousands of acres of wheat plantations. The first crops to be planted were as diverse as the people who planted them. For example, wheat and barley thrived in the Middle East. In Asia, Africa, and the Americas, wheat and barley were nowhere to be found. In Asia, people domesticated large-grained rice, and as a result, rice became the staple food for Asian society. Wheat, rice, and barley were absent in Africa and Mesoamerica. As such, Mesoamericans and Africans exploited monocotyledons that were in abundance in these regions. For example, Africans exploited sorghum, which existed abundantly in the continent, while Mesoamericans exploited corn. Large grain plant species were absent in South America, and as such, they domesticated tuberous plant species, including sweet potatoes, cassava, potato, and the pseudo-grains amaranth and chenopod. The agricultural revolution, which is also known as the Neolithic Revolution, had a tremendous effect on early societies. Increased food production, for instance, supported denser populations. Denser populations, in turn, supported larger sedentary societies. Specialization in different forms of labor and the accumulation of tools and products. Additionally, the resulting denser population caused a drastic change in the manner in which societies were governed. Food surpluses, for example, helped to create and maintain the social elite, which was excused from toiling in the land, among other things. The elite dominated the communities they lived in and monopolized decision-making. Additionally, it created inequalities and deep social divisions between the genders, with women taking subservient roles and men taking up warrior and leadership roles. The agricultural revolution had a tremendous effect on the health of Neolithic people. Generally, these people suffered from malnutrition and had lower life expectancies due to their labor-intensive lifestyle. Their bodies were not used to the back-breaking work farming required. Additionally, armed conflicts became more common. For instance, during a famine, if Community Y has food and Community X is staring at starvation, Community X may attack Community Y to avoid the disaster. The attacks would result in losses of life on both sides. Such conflicts rarely occurred among the hunter-gatherer communities that preceded them. This is not to say that hunter-gatherer communities were less violent than their farming counterparts. Hunter-gatherer communities led a nomadic lifestyle as they followed the migration routes of the game they hunted, reducing the risk of armed conflicts drastically. For farmers, on the other hand, the inconvenience of moving to a safer place in the face of a raiding party or famine was insufferable. It meant abandoning their homes, livestock, granaries, and farms. In many instances, farmers opted to stay on and engage nature or raiders to their detriment. Many scholars argue that the agricultural revolution was a great leap forward for humans, but close upon inspection, the agricultural revolution may have made life harder for human beings. For example, due to living in close proximity to animals, human beings began suffering from various diseases, including devastating plagues. In fact, studies on prehistoric skeletons indicate that the transition to agriculture brought about a myriad of diseases in humans, including hernias, arthritis, and slipped discs. For thousands of years before agriculture, humans lived fairly comfortable lives as hunters and gatherers. People who planted wheat and kept livestock, for instance, were required to live close to their farms to take care of them every day, rather than subsisting from the planet's bounty, as their ancestors did. This brings up the question, did we domesticate plants and animals, or did they domesticate us? By understanding the long history that humans have in attempting to draw sustenance from the earth, we can understand the crisis that humans face today, as millions of people across the globe are faced with imminent starvation or flight from their lands due to various circumstances, including climate change and war. From the Neolithic times through early civilizations like Mesopotamia and Egypt to date, humans have developed a plethora of agricultural techniques in response to varying global conditions. Despite the remarkable steps we have taken in agriculture, food security continues to be a major cause of anxiety for governments across the globe. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you have enjoyed and learned something new. Like, share, and subscribe to Liber-Tea for more thought-provoking discussions on historical occurrences.